everybody. Welcome to the Truth Will Set You Free show, brought to you by Tlbtv and the Liberty Beacon Project. I'm your host, Linda Diane Wattley. And again, we have an amazing gift. Yeah. See there? Gift. Supposed to say guest, but she must be our gift today. Rita Rocker. How are you doing, Rita?
I'm doing great, Linda. Thanks so much for inviting me to be here today.
I get excited when I'm blessed to meet a person who has faced such great adversity, but never took the title or the label of victim. And then you took it, stepped on it, stepped over, and went for it, and taught people the tools to do it themselves. Rita Rocker is a national speaker, an international author. She has written several books. She has co-authored with other authors. She has a Transformation Academy organization or company, LLC, but it offers so much to people. She wants people to be able to transform their lives like she was able to transform her life. And she offered them tools to get there. And she also has been Mrs. Nebraska and Mrs. America, which is new to me. Mrs., that's wonderful. She is the president of the Greater Omaha chapter of Speakers, Publishers, and Authors Association. And one of the things I like that she's a PTSD coach. She uses everything she has to help other people. Everything that she knows that could get us to a better place, she shares that with us. And I was fortunate to read a book that she wrote that I find that everybody should read. And it's called End of Your Rope, Steps to Rebuild Your Life. I read that book, and the thing that I liked about it was it made me exhale. It made me feel like, wow, I'm normal for what I think and feel about certain things that you shouldn't really be thinking and feeling about because it was kind of unjust and you want to turn it loose. But the way she writes it is like she makes you realize this is just a process of life. Keep it moving, move forward. And the way she brings it is so, how would I say it, gentle, but yet she's just like a school teacher and a mom. And in some ways, your grandma too. And I can't leave it out, psychologist too. So in some ways, she is an entrepreneur because that is her baby, that Transformation Academy. I mean, the site, you can stay there all day and be encouraged and strengthened. Tell us a little bit about Transformation Academy.
Well, thank you. Actually, it started out many years ago, and I just had such a burden to especially help women, the inside person and the outside person. And so I used to call it metamorphosis, and then sometimes that was a little tricky to people to say, and I changed it to Transformation Academy. And so what I do is I love to work with people on the inside first, their self-esteem, self-image, what makes them tick, what their desires are, maybe what they've been through and what they need to go through and get on the other side of. And so we work a lot with that. And then I work with them on the outer person, and that could be their verbal, nonverbal, and written communication skills, their professional image, business etiquette, or regular etiquette and manners, and also career development programs, because I think that's very hard, especially nowadays, global economy. There's a lot of competition in the workforce, and so I really like to help people in that area too. So it's just, right now I'm actually working with a lady who was hired to help her more with her communication skills, but I was actually able to dig in there and find out some things inside of her that were holding her back, and that was very exciting to just get a little bit of the inside as well as the outside of her.
So how did you get that first person to listen to you to make them realize that you had something to offer?
Well, I started speaking back in the 80s and yeah, just, would speak at retreats and found that I had a gift and a love of speaking, and then got involved in doing some writing. And so then somebody just said, hey, can you come and speak to our group? And so it just kind of built up from there, whether it's a professional organization, a retreat, which I love to do, could be a business or private coaching or consulting. So, sometimes people say, oh, you need to narrow your niche. And I say, no, I just, I love to do it all, help the inner person and the outer person.
Okay, so the first thing that you did that you became public with, was it a speaking engagement, or was it doing a seminar, or was it at a church, or what really made you realize that you had something to give?
Well, actually, it was when I taught modeling classes years ago, and all the girls would come to me for counseling, and knew that I really cared about them. And then through Toastmasters, found out that I had a love for speaking, and I think it was probably starting out more with church and retreats and things like that. And then I belonged to a couple professional organizations, and so they said, hey, can you come on over and do one of our lunch meetings or our dinner meetings? And so it just kind of grew from there, a lot of it by word of mouth, people just enjoying it. And then some of the corporate training I did too, which I love doing, and that kind of just jumped in there with it.
Wow, that's really interesting how you found your niche, and it just keep expanding. You just keep, okay, how did you draw PTSD into it?
Well, I took some very intensive training last year. I'm not doing the real deep PTSD right now, but I am working with people like the couple of them that I have right now. PTSD, I know, is very important. My son was a Marine. He was in Iraq, and now he's a watch commander with the Border Patrol. And so, I learned a lot even from people that he's had experiences with. But I went on a missions trip to Haiti exactly a year after I was at the Mrs. America pageant. And then I was a widow with bug bites all over me, sleeping on a rock floor with tarantulas. And I realized there too, how many people are hurting, and we're all kind of in the same boat. But because of my past, I'm a domestic violence survivor, and went through a lot of really awful abuse for several years. And so that's always been really close to my heart. The world's going through a lot right now, and I know a lot of people are hurting. And so it's very important that we can kind of dig down inside there and help them to find out what's going on inside, and to be able to move forward in their lives and not get stuck in that spot.
So what would you tell a person that knows a person with PTSD to how they should, be around them, how they can be there for them, but not make it more difficult for them to cope?
Well, a lot of it has to do, allow them to speak at times. Sometimes people just get shoved off like, oh, I'll deal with it. I've seen that happen. Be there for them. Honestly, a lot of times a dog or a cat can really help too with the PTSD. I think even, just inviting them out for fellowship, listening to some good positive music, even little things like that can really help. But we don't want, kind of when they start over and keep saying the same thing over and over and over, a lot of times we have to refer them to somebody, and we can help them, but they have to get to the point where they're willing to take steps that are necessary to move forward and not be stuck playing the same record over and over again.
And I also noticed that you do a lot of work for self-esteem. What do you find with the teenagers that's been a common factor that seems to cause them to have low self-esteem?
Well, a lot of times with bullying, a lot of times the bully is actually having issues with self-esteem. And so they try to make other people feel badly about themselves so they can build themselves up. But, I grew up poor. I didn't feel like I was worth anything. From a very early age because of some situations that went on. And I see so many times something even a teacher or a child has said can really wound the self-esteem. And, you know, what I tell people right now is, you know, what kind of price tag are you putting on yourself? You know, you put yourself behind the glass where the valuables are kept, and know that you're a valuable child of God. And, you know, I think that's so important, because a lot of us have been wounded by, could be a parent, could be a teacher, could be a sibling, who knows. And so there again, I like to work with people to go through various steps. My book, Hope at the End of Your Rope, Steps to Rebuild Your Life, has a workbook with it. And you really dig in and go through a lot of questions and find out, you know, okay, this relationship needs to go because it's destructive. And I need to maybe change a pattern in my life. It's kind of like ripping a sleeve off your arm and going, this needs to go, this relationship, these people, maybe this job. And, you know, I talk to people about how to switch into something new. There's so many things we can do on webinars, just going to get a little makeover, just buying ourselves flowers. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to start building ourselves up. I talked just briefly about, you know, the package of flowers. And you see a packet of flowers and, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And then you open it up, it's like, oh, there's these little shriveled up seeds. You know, what's this all about? And we feel that way a lot of times, but it's through nurturing and feeding and growing ourselves and giving ourselves what we need, which is positive reinforcement, you know, good situations to be in, healthier food, etc. And then we also grow and blossom into those beautiful flowers too. But it takes work, and it takes the right kind of people. So I always say, hey, go find yourself, go pray about it, you know, find yourself some people who will really walk alongside of you. That's what we really need.
Yeah, I like that word when you said build yourself up, build. You know, that means you got something to do. What was that time in your life, or what happened with you that you came up with your first tool to begin to build?
I would say, you know, after I found out I had a gift for speaking, of course, that helped build my self-esteem. But I would say probably one of the most profound experiences that I had was when I was driving down the street and I heard this song about the auctioning off a violin. And, you know, it's a song about the touch of the master's hand. And it's this gentleman is holding this violin up and he's going, $1, give me two. And you know, then this man comes up from behind and he starts playing the violin, which is kind of like what we are in a sense. And it was absolutely beautiful. And so then the gentleman started saying, 1,000, who'll give me two? And the people said, whoa, wait a minute, what made the difference? And he said, it was the touch of the master's hand on that violin. And God just spoke to me right then and said, you felt like that dirty old worthless violin, but because of my touch on you, my hand on you, my being in your life, you are a beautiful creation. You are very valuable, very special, and very much loved. And I just cried. I was crying as I was driving down the street. But it was amazing. That was one of the turning points in my life to realize that, you know, let go and let God, so to speak, and, you know, show me who I am, what value I am. And that really helped to turn me around a lot as I was bawling down the street.
Well, you was in Haiti. Give us an idea of what that experience was like, because you learned a lot of things there too about, you know, gratitude and different things, appreciation.
Yes. I mean, Haiti was quite an experience, seemed like an eternity. And, you know, at the time it was very difficult, but I realized that, you know, no matter where we are in this world, we have the same needs, the same feelings. The people over there were starving, but they would literally give you the shirt off their back. And it taught me a lot of lessons, because exactly a year before that, I was at the Mrs. America pageant. And even though it was tough because my husband was dying, you know, everybody was jewelry and evening gowns and all this kind of stuff in Las Vegas. And then exactly a year later, I'm covered with bug bites and rock fall. But I really learned so much that even to this day, I thank God for a toothbrush and a refrigerator and so many things, because it was a good life lesson on really being blessed for what we have, being grateful. And as we build up gratitude for what we have, I think that helps us turn the corner in our own lives too, as we're more grateful. But it was very hard, but a very good lesson. And I still carry it with me today and still think of the people over there. And they would give and give and give, even though they didn't have anything.
So compare them, excuse me, to America. What do you think America is missing here?
Certainly a lot of gratitude. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I noticed was this one family. There were these two little boys, and they were about like 7 and 9, I think. And one of them went on the bus ride with me to the store to get a few things. And so we each got a big Snickers bar, and we sat in the bus, and I'm just starving down my Snickers bar on the way back. And Bobby didn't open his up. And so when we got back to the orphanage, I noticed he was taking little pieces off of it, and he was giving them to all the little kids in the orphanage, and he didn't even eat one bite of it. And then I felt horrible thinking, gosh, you could have given him half your Snickers. Wow. And I said, Bobby, why didn't you even take one bite of it? And he said, because I got to go on the bus ride. And I thought, oh my gosh. And so, I would see all these things where they would share with each other. And then it was a couple months later that we had a harvest party at church, and these two brothers were literally screaming at each other because one had taken a couple pieces of candy out of the other one's full bag. And so I just realized, a lot of times in America, I don't think we realize how blessed we really are, what we really have, and to be a community, to work together with each other like they did back there. So yes, there needs to be some changes here. What I said before is I really wish that every child in junior high or middle school age would be required to go to a third world country for a couple of weeks. I think that would make a dramatic difference in how they look at life after that.
Wow. After you have shared, your presentation about self-esteem and transformation, do you recall anything that you heard someone say that made a difference for them?
I've had that happen a couple times. In my very abusive years, yes, I did the drugs and the alcohol to try to numb the pain. And then when I would talk to women at groups, it was kind of like, oh, I really don't want to deal with, expose myself so much. But that was part of the testimony. And I remember one time 2 young ladies came up to me from South Dakota, and they said, oh, thank you. Your message meant so much to us. And I said, well, what hit? And they said, well, our husbands are both in jail right now and from dealing drugs, and you just gave us so much hope. And I said, well, thank you. And a lot of times I'll have women come up to me afterwards and say that something hit them, whether it's self-esteem, whether they've also gone through a lot of domestic violence and gave them hope. One time, 4 weeks after my late husband died, I spoke at a women's retreat, and I was the current Mrs. Nebraska, and these ladies came up to me and said, well, your message wasn't at all what we expected. And I said, well, what were you expecting? And they said, oh, we just thought you were going to talk about all that stuff. And I said, no. I said, I've been called to help women once they've gotten knocked down, get back up, dust off their knees, and get back in the race. And that's what life's all about. Just we keep going.
Wow. And when I was reading your book, you had some beautiful poems in that book.
Yes.
Tell people about those poems.
Those are keepsakes from my mother. And she had a really hard, painful life. And she's gone now, and her leg was amputated a couple of years before she passed away. But she would take life's experiences and she would create beautiful poetry out of them. And the one that you read about metamorphosis, she wrote about me. And just how, we can be set free. We can get our wings and we can fly. and never give up hope. Never, ever, ever.
That book is very special, just the fact of what you just said and the timing of the poems where you place them and throughout the book. It's just so well put together. What made you decide you had to write that book?
Well, for a few years, I kept hearing, I hope at the end of your rope going around. I was like, okay, God, I think you're trying to tell me I need to write a book on hope. And when we feel like we're at the end of our rope, which I know a lot of people are feeling that way. And so I was blessed with an opportunity to meet Linda Eastman from Professional Woman Network International. And we talked about her publishing the book. And so then together we decided that we would say Steps to Rebuild Your Life, as kind of the subtitle. And that fits so perfectly. And I also have a workbook for that one, just like my Guide to Marketing Yourself for Success book. And, a lot of times we just have to sit down, get quiet, and start thinking, okay, what's been good? What lessons have I learned? What do I need to ditch? What do I need to recreate? Maybe write a new chapter of our life's book. And sometimes we just have to throw the old one out and start over and write it. But yes, it was just in my heart so much. And now I'm working on one about unleashing our destiny. We don't have the exact title yet, but it will also be on getting out of the bondage that a lot of times we're in, taking our dreams back off the shelf and just going for it. We all have a purpose for our lives, for us being here. And so that will really help us to unleash that and move forward.
So you're saying basically you already have people to work with you on your book.
Yes, I do. And I'm very grateful for that because I didn't want to have to try to figure out all that.
Blessing. So you're saying you have a co-author or editor or publisher?
Through Professional Woman Network International. They are the publisher. And you can go to prowoman.com and you can just scroll through lots and lots of books. And Linda's been great to work with. So I'm very grateful for that. I spoke at her conference last year.
See, that's really wonderful. So your work is pretty well protected.
Yes. Yes.
It's not falling into the wrong hands.
That's right.
Cover is nice. Do you by any chance have your cover nearby of your book?
It's
okay, because I just think it's just perfect.
I had one with me, and to be honest with you, I apologize.
Okay, I was just taking that chance, but the book is definitely a must read for anybody who wants to understand the process of getting to a better place, like you said, inwardly and outwardly.
Both. Yes. Because even though we have everything maybe outwardly, money, looks, et cetera, there's still things that are going on inside that can make us sabotage ourselves and not really achieve the dreams that we have. So I believe we're two-part, inner and outer, and we have to work with both of them.
So where does the spiritual part of yourself fit in all of this?
Well, God is, my life. He brought me out of a lot of horrible things. And I had such a deep impression, to be really honest, that I needed to put him in the book because he is our hope at the end of our rope. And he does give us the steps to rebuild our life. And so I told the publisher about that, and she said, okay, go ahead and do that. And so God's very much a part of the book because he is our hope. And he can transform our lives. We can triumph through all the transitions that we have. And so I felt like he was saying, come on, kiddo, this is my book. As I said, okay.
Well, see, the thing about it, like, people have no clue of your journey. It's like the end of your rope is because of the many things that you have suffered through. Could you just share a few of the miracles that you have survived just dealing with your body?
Well,
yeah.
Yes, the body's been real interesting the last few years. I had A lot of things going on, spinal fusion, back when, and some things like that. My body had gone through quite a bit when I was a battered wife. But, in the last few years, then I had a jawbone tumor, and I have a brain tumor. I just got my MRI yesterday. That was removed. And then I have a shunt behind my ear and a titanium implant in the back of my head because I have Meniere's disease now, which took my hearing. And then I had a diverticulum colon rupture last year. And it was like, within 2.5 years, I'd had 8 surgeries, plus the Meniere's and many things that happened. And if you want me to be really honest, I said, God, can I go home now? I'm done. I'm done. And I felt like he said, no, I still have work for you to do. And so that's one of those times of getting back up, dusting your knees off and getting back in the race. And, so the Meniere's makes it hard sometimes, but that's part of life. And we go on, we go forward, we help other people. And I think one of the benefits of, when we go through things, whether it's a divorce, or whether it's abuse, whether it's a loss of someone, whether it's caregiving, whether it's moving across the country and missing everyone, we can take every one of those experiences that we have and we can use those to help other people. And that's what I do when I speak. And the ones that seem to make the most difference in people's lives are the ones who have been there, done that. And we give other people courage and hope to think, well, if they could do it, they got out of it, I can do it too.
See, I just wanted you to share that so they could really understand why you said hope at the end of your rope. And that's not even everything.
No, that's only a small part.
I just want people to understand that, and you have no evidence. It's like if I hadn't read your book and if you hadn't shared that, I would never known that you had those experiences.
And that again is God, and it's intended to show people that there is hope, whether you've been, beaten up, had a loss, been a caregiver for loved ones. I lost my son for many years, just so many things through life. And if we don't get past that, we sabotage ourselves and thinking, like I did, oh, I'm no good. I'm not worth anything. But that's not true. We all are very valuable, very loved. And so, onward we go.
So do you feel that you felt that way when you was even a child, that you didn't have any value, or did it come like maybe in high school or after high school?
Well, this probably sounds silly, but when I was 5, I was very sick and my mom was not allowed to drive. And so my mom told my dad we needed to go to take me to the doctor. And Dad said, no, I'm going to the horse races in another town. And Mom said, but she's really sick. We need to take her. And he said, no, you can take her on the bus. And so, a lot of people would not have thought much about that. But for me, it planted a seed in my head that I was worthless, that horses were a whole lot more important than me. And it didn't matter if I was sick. The horse races was what was important. And so Mom had to take me on the bus. And so I went through some counseling later on in life and found out that that's where it started. And so it planted a seed in me that, well, you're not worth much, and so I would always quit everything I started because I didn't want to always had a fear of rejection and a fear of failure. And I'm finding more and more people, that's what's deep inside of them are those two things. And so it caused me all through school, even into adulthood, to quit things. But now I realize, hey, we're all God's valuable kids and he loves us and he has plans for us. And so we can't let those tapes keep playing. We have to get rid of them once and for all and go forward.
Well, just like you were saying, you had no clue that was controlling your life.
No, I really didn't. And, it's taken a lot to get there, but now I'm able to try to delve into other people's lives and get inside a little bit to see, okay, what's playing back there? What's going on back there? That maybe they don't even realize, or they've stuffed it down so far that they don't know that it's affecting their lives, their relationships, their success, all of that.
So what do you have coming new for women to bring them together to share your goods?
Well, I do have women's programs, women's ministries. I've been asked to speak at a few more of the, Christian business women's organizations, but I do put on programs every so often, and I try to put a mix in there. We'll talk about their value, their worth. We'll give them hope. We'll do a lot of healing that needs to go on. Really encourage, motivate, inspire, all those good things. And then I always like to, after the break, have something fun, because I taught modeling classes for years. And so we'll do a little color wardrobe analysis, makeovers, just manners, just different things to give them more confidence. The most important thing a person, whether it's male or female, the most important thing a person can wear is confidence. And I always tell people, and I don't mean arrogance, but I mean confidence. And so what I like to do is just give them a piece of the inner person and then do some fun things on the outside. And they just love that.
So do you do a lot of activities at your church, sharing, what you have at the academy?
Well, I have done some as leader of women's ministries, because of health. I kind of put some things on hold for a little bit, but now I'm getting back into it and growing, and, plan on doing some retreats, and then also having some seminars where we invite people from all over the city to come and join us. That makes it lots of fun.
So where are you? What part of the world are you in?
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm right in the middle, right in the middle of America.
You should have known that about the beauty pageant. You never left.
And so, yep, that's where I am.
But you never left there and come back? You just always been in Nebraska?
I've always been in Nebraska. I thought, well, one of these days I'll go somewhere else. I have two sisters in California, but nope, just always been here.
Have you gone to California?
Oh, yes, many, many, many times.
And you be ready to go back home?
Well, this winter I'll be wanting to go to California for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's just so nice to have a person give so much to people and to know that you make that kind of difference. Because I know just talking to you, it's just a soothing spirit. And it's like you could, just like when I was reading your book, it just makes you so gentle.
Well, that's nice to hear, but yes.
It's a beautiful experience just being in your presence for this time. I appreciate you being on our show.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being here and meeting you. And I'm always available. People can check out my website. There's something called Rita's Column in there. That's a blog, and it has literally about 3 years worth of blogs in there. Some are inspirational, motivational. A lot of them have to do with business or etiquette or career. So you're very welcome to look at transformationacademy.com and just enjoy all the blogs on there and share them.
Is there anything you want people to know that they can benefit from today? Because you do excellent work on your blogs, giving people encouragement. What would you give them today?
I would just say, pull your dreams off the shelf, for one thing. You're never too late to start over, for those of you who may be a little more mature. And also that really sit down and think about your life, where you are, what patterns could maybe be changed to fulfill your dreams, your goals, your desires, because you deserve it. You deserve to have those fulfilled. You have a purpose. You have a calling in your life, and don't let that go. I've always thought so many times through the years when I would go back into the corporate world, what I'm doing now would never leave me. And I just want to encourage you, if there's something that's been in your heart, your mind, and it keeps coming back throughout the years, it's a calling on your life. There's a gift there, and you want to open that gift up, and you want to feed it, nourish it, like we talked about the flower seeds, and go forward and achieve that.
And guess what, Rita?
What?
You are on the Truth Will Set You Free show. Give us a truth to remember you by.
Well, let's see. No matter what has happened, you keep going. You know, one thing that God told me is, because I kept being down on myself, was, you are my beautiful daughter. And tell my daughters they are my beautiful daughters. So I guess for me, just know I'm always there for you. And I just encourage you, like me, to always remember we're his beautiful daughters or his wonderful sons, depending on where you are in life there.
And if they want to get your books, because you have more than one book that's very fruitful and useful.
Yes.
And if they want to learn more about the Academy, how can they find out?
They can, well, you can Google my name, but also transformationacademy.com. It will show you all the programs that I can offer you. I can work with you over Zoom too, or Skype. But also under products, it has the books. If you go to prowoman.com, and you can scroll way down and you'll see a picture of me with a link, and it has many of my books on there as well. And, you know, just look at the blog too. You can share that with everybody. But main thing is going to my website.
And it is a definitely beautiful website. I mean, I just go there and just almost like reading a book, because there's so much information there.
Yes, there is.
Then if you want more, just get in touch with her.
Yes.
I'm waiting for you.
Thank you. You're all beautiful, loved, very valuable, and very precious. Don't forget it.
Hey, you know you have to come back when your book comes out. That new book come out. You got to come back.
Okay, I would love to. It should be the end of the year.
And thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. Appreciate it. God bless.
Oh, definitely. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye.